Hi, I'm Professor William Watkin and I've risen from my sick bag this morning to talk a little bit about the Brussels attacks and in particular the response that you can observe on Twitter. So an interesting moral and ethical debate is emerging on Twitter over the broadcast of graphic images of the Brussels terror attacks. Within minutes of logging on this morning, as you might expect by now, I was able to see multiple images of severely wounded people and watch videos of the panic and fear of the aftermath of the blast. Two women sit stunned on a bench, the shoe of one missing, her foot dripping. A man lies on the ground, his legs outstretched before his incredulous regard. They're framed in red and the angle appears odd, wrong somehow. A woman flees the airport wearing white jeans with scarlet, bloodied knees. A man's head pours with blood as someone tries to staunch it with an item of clothing, a scarf I think. Yet under the heading graphic images, there are probably twice as many tweets condemning the sharing of those images and a widespread call across the Twitter sphere not to retweet them, which is fitting. Aside from it being clear that the victims did not give permission for their images to be used in this way, seeing them there they look vulnerable, terrified and alone. Capturing images of fellow humans in their moment of crisis in this way reminds me of the old, probably apocryphal story about photographing indigenous communities. It seems to me that in a godless world, when you steal the privacy of the wounded, it is as if you are stealing their soul. Could it be that Twitter is growing up, that we're witnessing something rather unique, the spontaneous emergence of a moral sense, of a communicable intelligibility of right and wrong, that people are more interested in sharing than simply those images of gore and violence? I feel almost like I'm witnessing the transformation of a pupae into a butterfly or even the birth of a new star. In the past, social media was all about sharing intimate images of violence for the good of the wider community, a kind of pity porn that reached both its nadir and its apex with the images of the drowned body of Aylan Kurdi. Although people expressed a moral sense of outrage as they passed the pity porn on, we all knew that titillation and novelty was as much a part of the process as social conscience. That this appears to have changed is perhaps simply that we've suffered too many attacks of late, shared a little bit too much, and have started to overcome that initial thrill of being broadcasters of snuff, because that is after all the technical term for such images of violence and death. At the same time as we can witness the birth of an ethical social contract across the Twitter sphere, we can also record a small victory of text over image. To resist the sharing of images, you can't use images, you have to use words, rhetoric, the power of persuasion. Granted, the whole premise of Twitter militates to hamper proper democratic discourse, or what Jürgen Habermas calls communicative action, because the tweets are just too short for that, and the propensity for violence too prevalent in an anonymised and consequenceless universe. But in this case, simple states of refusal, renunciation and moral outrage combine to form a kind of hive heart or hive soul, a communal, spontaneous, philosophically emergent demos of opinion that only words can convey. It seems that a shift has occurred, a clicking point if you will. People have begun to realise that just because it exists, you don't need to look at it. There is a choice on social media not often felt due to peer pressure and the anthropologically novel millennial phenomena of the need to share. You don't have to pass it on. The buck can really stop with you. And if enough people take this stance, the virality, the viralosity of the image, which is at epidemic proportion, can be vaccinated against and its spread halted. This impulse of renunciation and arrest of pity porn, of snuff, of graphic imagery is surely to be applauded. It's an impulse, however, that's not yet extended to those who captured those images and tweeted them in the first place. In one example, a man, I think it is, takes a 2-minute video of panic in a departure lounge full of smoke and fumes. Overhead, warning sirens screech to a degree that it becomes unbearable. The man is crouched over another figure who has their head in their arms like a child, as if hiding their head means that they can't be seen or touched. It's apparent that absolutely no one knows what is happening. Occasionally stunned figures, still pushing their luggage on trolleys, sort of slowly cross the floor, and then once or twice a person runs fast at full pelt towards the exit sign, as you might imagine is the best policy. Other than that, the scene is drear and empty for a full 2 minutes. Another bomb could go off at any second. The fumes from the smoke could be toxic. The fire may be spreading their way, yet still the man films. Finally, a security guard arrives to tell him to leave. Still recording, he puts on his jacket, of all things, and then the image goes black. Why did he put his life at risk to shoot that? Why did he film instead of consoling the distraught figure at his feet? Was he gripped by simple voyeurism or something more noble, a journalistic impulse to record the truth as and when it is happening, no matter how awful and irrespective of the consequences? Most likely he was in a state of shock and just did the first thing that came to him, an automatic instinct like pushing your luggage through Armageddon on a trolley, which makes the decision to record even more confounding. In days gone by, at moments of crisis, people would reach for their Bible and pray. In our new millennium, face to face with death, we grab our phone and we start to film.